So Iron Lung came out this last weekend, and oh my god, I thought I was prepared, but I was very much not prepared for what I saw in theaters. This movie is obviously based off of the 45-minute to an hour-long horror game developed by David Zemansky, and unfortunately, I have not been able to play that game myself due to the fact that it is first person. It really throws off my motion sickness. So what did I do? I went and watched Markiplier's playthrough because it just seemed very appropriate to do so, you know? I think this goes without saying, but just in case you're not a fan of spoilers, this video definitely has those, so save this video and come back after you've watched the film. So if you're not familiar with the game, it's a pretty simple one, but creepy nonetheless. You have 10 anomalies in this sea of blood that you have to go take photos of in a single-person submarine that you can't see out of. The only way that you can see is via camera that you have to straight up leave the steering controls to go back and operate. You can only see what's directly in front of the ship. So with that extremely limited visibility, you're basically only working with coordinates to avoid smashing into seawalls, tunnels, and hopefully the massive sea monster that is definitely down there with you. This movie does a really good job with staying faithful to the source material, but also does just as well expanding upon this dying galaxy. Naturally, there are going to be some changes, like instead of the 10 anomalies that the convict is looking for in the game, the convict, who now has a name, Simon, is looking for 5 anomalies, and we have more of a crew. In the game, we only hear this disembodied voice on the radio, and that's about it outside of you playing the convict. We now have Ava, the captain of this operation, Jack, another one of the crew members, played by Jacksepticeye, by the way, and then David, the mechanic welder who welds Simon into the Iron Lung, played by David Zemansky, the game dev who made Iron Lung. A really awesome Easter egg. We also have like a backstory cast as well, delving into Simon's background, why he's this convict. It's a little bit unclear as to what exactly happens. You just know that he grew up in Eden. It's a hub of survivors, for lack of a better description. And then he ends up, he claims that he was trying to stop whoever it was from blowing up Filament Station. I believe it was Filament Station. I apologize if I get that wrong. But he walked out of it alive, so naturally everyone's like, oh, he definitely was part of the explosions. It's him, get him! And they very fondly coined the nickname Simon the Butcher. But for the majority of the film, you still have them calling him Convict. So we have a couple of people in the Eden flashbacks. They're really, really short, but just enough to push the fact that Simon is in fact a human being outside of just being labeled a convict. Which also does work on the expansion of this game's universe, because in the game, all we know is that the stars have disappeared. We're trying to find resources to help humanity live. There's only so much of us left. And now we're getting like, what is Eden? We've never heard of that before in the game. We get to learn a little bit more about the way the Iron Lung works. Kind of. We get to learn how the camera works a little bit, I guess. It's X-rays. So in this film, Simon finds one of the anomalies and then gets tossed around in what they're claiming is an underwater earthquake, but it is absolutely the sea monster, and you cannot convince me or Simon otherwise. Let's be real here. They bring him up and they're not listening to him. He obviously wants out. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'd rather be in prison. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd rather be in prison too, instead of go up against the sea monster, which I can't frickin' see, but whatever. So he gets mad and like pushes the button and then kind of sizzles the mechanic's skin off. It's not pretty at all. But yeah, so we're getting a little bit more backstory, a little bit more characters, which I thought it was pretty good. I could see why they opted for more characters. This could have been an extremely isolating experience for audiences, perhaps, if they literally just left it with Simon inside the Iron Lung, just like the game. I think flashbacks alone would have done just fine, but having the crew there definitely amped up the stakes. Having people bicker with each other over the intercom, over the speaker, or straight up yell at Simon just to tell him to do his job and he's yelling at them. Yeah, it absolutely heightens tensions. Honestly, I wasn't sure how Mark was gonna do in this movie. And it's not because I didn't have any faith in Mark. It was just like, I'm just so used to seeing Markiplier as Markiplier. So I was like, is he going to be able to maintain such a serious and like high stakes tone throughout the entire thing? And my God, mans did it. You did excellent, my friend. I was like, holy fucking shit. It wasn't Markiplier, the YouTuber. It was a full-fledged actor that really brought you into the film. He just executed it so well. The big departure, however, was the way that the sea monster was handled. This wasn't just we're finding anomalies and figuring out what those are with a sea monster after us. This is an eldritch being that is on our ass the entire time. And that shit just escalates so quickly. And that's where I was completely and totally ill prepared for this movie. For starters, Simon starts to see things inside the Iron Lung. And by things, I mean there's a straight up guy walking around in a couple of scenes. And you're like, who the fuck is you? What are you doing here? How are you in here? And it's obviously all connected to the Eldritch being the sea monster. But when this very weird ass person, he's completely and totally gored up. He's bloody and there's teeth coming out of his face and just it's bad. He looks like he basically has no skin over his being. I really thought that we were going to get a whole bunch of jump scares or we were going to push this guy walking around. And I think we only get really 3 scenes where he's present, the skinless being. He walks by behind Simon. You get to see that and you're like, oh no, we are not alone. And then there's a scene where Simon has to go down into this crawl space to fix up the Iron Lung after the Eldritch sea monster has smacked him around a little bit. And when he's down there, you can see like the shadow of someone walking by. And then there's a scene where Simon turns around and the thing is sitting in the seat. So it's like, oh no, I don't like that. But there weren't too many like in your face jump scares. I always feel like jump scares are cheap shots because they know that without those jump scares, they're not going to be able to bring the level of suspense that they need to, but they did not do that here because they fucking knew that they brought the suspense and nailed it every second. I normally am not a fan of Eldritch lore, cosmic horror, Lovecraftian stuff, but I actually thought that the way they handled it in here was like a really cool twist to the game. Just the way it progresses, Simon's descent into madness. Maybe not madness, but definitely getting his mind infected by whatever the hell this thing is. It felt very natural and progressed really damn smoothly. So by the time that we get into like the Iron Lung starting to fill up with blood and like, what is this crap growing on the walls? He's now attached to the Iron Lung. Oh my God, he just ripped his arm off. It just, I don't know. It all came to a head really, really well. So I didn't mind it. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this, so I can't say that like I liked the twist, but I thought it was done really well. And in that realm of like Eldritch horror, I also thought it was cool that we did get to expand upon the SM8. I didn't know until after watching this movie that the SM8, another sub that was taken down by the sea monster, was actually in the Iron Lung game. It was a secret that you can unlock by getting to all 10 of the anomalies within a certain time limit. That wasn't in Mark's playthrough that I watched, so I thought during my watch of the movie that this was just this extra thing, but looking that up and watching that after the fact, that was pretty damn cool. And holy hell, the voice acting from everyone on the records of the SM8 that Simon has to listen to, excellent. Excellent, excellent. Everyone did an excellent job in the acting department. There were no notes, no flaws, but yeah, I felt really uneasy and just as confused and like scared and terrified in that moment as to like, there's something bigger than just a sea monster. It is with this talk of like, I'm about to show you what actually happened to the universe, and you feel safe for a moment and then you realize, no, this thing is fucking with me so hard and I need to get the hell out of here as fast as possible. Ooh, it was just done really, really well. And as far as special effects go and CG goes, for such a tight fucking budget, even if the budget wasn't that tight, it was excellent. The gore factor in the final scene where the ship is starting to be, I guess, consumed by the Eldritch being because everything is like very fleshy and seems to be growing like these veiny roots around it. I'm trying to do the best I can with my descriptions, but as it's becoming parts of this being, I guess, or the being is absorbing it, it just looked really, really fucking good. The amount of fake blood, when he said that this film has the most blood any horror film has ever had in it, I was like, okay, I can expect there to be quite a bit then. But nah, that statement really does undersell how much that he was literally swimming in for several scenes. Again, it was done so well, but he has to go back into that crawl space another time, and as it's filling up with blood, it's like, okay, just hold your breath. You can get to the black box, you can get to the data, you can do it, just hold your breath and keep going. But then you realize that he's not going to be able to see through the blood like you can see through underwater, and it's just, the stakes are raised even more. It's terrible. If you've played the game, it should not come as a shock to you that unfortunately Simon does not make it out of the Iron Lung alive. In the game, you get all 10 anomalies and then the sea monster eats you, and then you get this text screen that's like, the crew above couldn't recover any of the pictures that you got, and the Iron Lung looked as if it had been ripped apart and scattered across the sea bottom. So unfortunately, there's no hope for humanity from the Iron Lung, but hopefully they can learn something and survive. But in the movie, it does end on a more hopeful note. Not for Simon, but for humanity. That scene that I'd mentioned of him going through the crawl space in the blood to get the black box, that has all of the data from the SM8 that is somehow going to help humanity survive. He just knows that it's important and he has to get it back to the above crew, basically. So he does do that at the end of the movie. It is literally the Iron Lung getting chomped by the Eldritch sea monster, and then the black box strapped to a life vest floating on the top of the sea of blood, and there's a spotlight that comes down on it, so you know that the humans got it, which is good. I was like, yay, okay, cool. There were plenty of times where they definitely teased with the chance of hope. They are constantly bargaining with Simon to pull him back up. He is constantly fighting. He's like, okay, so if I do this thing, I get to be free. And they're like, we'll pull you back up. And he's like, no, I get to be free, right? And they're like, just finish the thing. And then he disconnects for a few days, and they're like, okay, well now, unfortunately, because you've disconnected, we've had orders just to let you like stay down there and just kind of monitor and sees what happens. And then they find out that he's found the SM8 and he can get the data from the SM8 on his black box. And he's like, see, now you want me to be alive. You want to pull me up. I'll get the damn data. Then you have to pull me up. It's just this constant back and forth. So if you are the hopeful type, then yeah, you're hoping that there is a chance that he's gonna escape. Having seen the playthrough for the game, I was like, there's no way in hell, and was kind of feeling pessimistic about it. Still did feel very tense and like, oh my gosh, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it in the middle part of it. But at the end, I was like, he is trying his damnedest, and I just hope that you are able to expel the black box from your ship and it gets to the people, which he did it. So I had no hope for Simon, but it was very nice to see that maybe there was hope for humanity. There was no end scroll text that said humanity would possibly be saved by this information that Simon got from the SM8, but that's where I'm choosing to put my hope in. Sorry, Simon. I really wish I had hope for you, but as far as humanity goes, they kept saying over and over and over again, it's bigger than just us. So yeah, it's bigger than just them. But I liked it. I'm definitely would like to go watch it again. I am so happy that this movie is already doing insane numbers and has gotten like a whole bunch of good feedback, as it should. Go give it a watch. Support this one. Please go support this one. This is a big fucking deal and it is excellent. And I'm not just saying it because it's Markiplier and I like Markiplier. No, it's fucking good. I'm not an Eldritch horror fan, but I'm sitting here telling you that it's good. Go give it a watch. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.